Hey Scrappers, it's Vanessa here with another scrapbook process video, and Happy New Year! This video will go up on the 1st, and so that means we are in 2021. So Happy New Year to everyone. And I know I'm starting my first video out with a Christmas layout, but I had completed this one and just now got to the voiceover, and so I do apologize if you are done with Christmas. Bear with me. I promise I won't have tons of Christmas layouts, but I do have this one for today. And so the first thing that I am starting with are some stamps. I have said in the last couple of videos that I'm making an effort this year to use my stamps, and so I've pulled out a couple of different stamp sets here. A couple from Catherine Pooler, some Hero Art stamps, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do a bit of stamping for some embellishments that I'm going to use on my page. I have this Hero Art stamp. It's actually a wreath builder stamp. I am not using the wreath, but I have a piece of red cardstock and some red ink, and I'm going to stamp this bow. And then you saw I did just put a sentiment from an L Studio stamp set on a label, which I don't think it was a Nicole Jones. I think it was just a label from my stash, but I'll let you know as we go if I do use some printables from Nicole Jones. And the third set of stamping that I'm going to do here is with this Catherine Pooler little stamp set here. I think it's supposed to be like gingerbread cookies, so that is kind of what I'm mimicking here, and I'm actually going to emboss these. So I'm taking my embossing ink and I'm just going to stamp them down here on this sort of brown cardstock, or this very neutral cardstock. I will heat emboss these off camera because I don't have my heating gun close by, but I'm just going to stamp out 3 of these little cookies, and I'm using a cream colored embossing oh my goodness, I've lost my words. Embossing powder. My apologies. And so I am just going to go ahead and do those, like I said, off camera. I will go ahead and fussy cut those, as well as die cut that little bow that you saw I stamped earlier, and that's going to take care of some stamping for my layout. So like I said, I am trying to use my stamps. Now here is the background paper that I'm using, and I am still trying to use up some more of that Kaiser Craft Christmas collection that you saw in the video that I had up yesterday. And so I am taking some of my gloss white paint here from Dana Wakley, and I'm just going to make some splatters on the background. This pattern paper to me is definitely sort of artistic trees kind of brushed on the background, and I thought, what is better than white kind of snow looking splatters on this Christmas tree type of paper. And so that's what I'm going to do, just add that little bit of something to the background. And now I am going to take some scraps from that pattern paper kit from Kaiser Craft, as well as just some black sort of swirly patterned paper that was from my stash, and I'm just going to mat up my photo here. So I have this photo that I've already gone ahead and matted with the black, and then that other pattern paper, those are going to be the mats. Now off camera, and while I was kind of just watching TV, I created this title, and I actually die cut the Christmas word from a piece of green glitter paper, and I used my dies from the scrapbook, or from scrapbook.com I should say, and they are the tall skinny ones that are actually from scrapbook.com. It's their brand, and I absolutely love that alpha die cutting set, and it makes the perfect title. I can get long titles and fit them in a very small space. So because they are so small and thin, they would have gotten lost, so I just matted them on that piece of red pattern paper, and then I matted it again on the white and then the black, just to make it stand out. So that's going to be part of my title. And then now you see I have brought in those elements that I fussy cut and die cut from the stamping that I did earlier. So I have the cookie and it is all embossed and cut out. And then I have this bow and I have some other little elements. These little peppermints are from Nicole Jones Printables. And I'm just taking my Wink of Stella in the clear color. So it just adds a little bit of sparkle. And you can't really see this on camera. I don't even think it will show up in the photos, but when you see it in person, you can see sort of the little bit of sparkle that this pen kind of gives to the different elements. So I'm just taking this and all of the embellishments that I pulled to use on this page that I'm going to put in my clusters. I'm just kind of adding to some of the pieces a little bit of this sparkle, just to again add a bit of something to add some additional interest to these embellishments. So luckily, the good thing about these is the sparkle dries really fast, so I don't have to worry about any dry time with any of this because my background is off to the side drying with the splatters that I did put on it. So here you can see I'm kind of just flipping through the different embellishments that I chose. I have this sticker book that goes with the collection and I'm going to use a few stickers from that. So I'm just adding the sparkle to those as well so that everything has a bit of a shine to it. And so I'm just kind of going through. I know that there's some of these other little cookie pieces here in the back. And the picture that you can see there in the background is of a giant teapot pouring tea into a teacup. And this is actually from a trip to Disney that we took in December, and not this past year, but this is from a previous year, as a couple years back now. And this was a display, I believe I want to say this was in the England pavilion in Epcot, or just as you go over the bridge into the England pavilion. I believe it was somewhere along that walkway. And so I snapped a picture of it because it was so cute, that giant teapot. And so I am going to scrapbook that. So that's kind of why I brought in sort of the peppermints and the cookies, because you kind of think of, you know, you have tea and some cookies or biscuits or whatever along that line. And so I thought the food element definitely worked with the idea of a Christmas tea, which is actually going to be the title of my page, is Christmas tea. And now, as I was kind of talking about my photo and you saw me doing the embellishments, I'm playing around with how I want to build my background. Now, I'm not using a sketch or any, sort of idea coming into this page of how I wanted it to look. So I was sitting there tapping my fingers trying to figure out what design I wanted to do. And I had this piece of pattern paper from that same collection that had the big red polka dots. And I didn't want to just put it as a straight edge across the bottom or the top. I wanted to do something interesting with it. So I thought doing this sort of a diagonal kind of cut and having sort of two wonky triangles on the top and bottom kind of would add a little bit of some sort of interest to the page without it having just be straight lines of pattern paper on the top and bottom. So that is what I did. So I just took, it wasn't even a full sheet. I had already cut some of this pattern paper for a different layout. And so I just took what was left and just made two cuts so that I could do sort of two wonky triangles. And now I am building out the clusters. So I'm going to have 3 clusters. I stamped 3 of those Christmas tree gingerbread cookie. And so those are going to go in each of my clusters. I have 3 of the peppermints, and then I have just some other embellishments that I fussy cut from some papers, and that Christmas cheer is from the die cut pack, as well as here I have the stickers. So I'm just building out with those same elements in each of my 3 clusters. I have the larger above my photo. I have another cluster here to the right or to the left of my photo, and then another cluster that's going to go up around my title. So it kind of pulls my title together with the rest of the page because my title is kind of floating up at the top. So adding the embellishment clusters definitely pulls it all together. Plus it gives me that visual triangle that I like to have on my pages. So I'm just going to play around here with the bits and pieces. All of the holly that you see throughout the page is actually fussy cut from a pattern paper that I actually used to mat my photo as well. I had fussy cut some of those from the pattern paper, and so I'm going to put those around the layout as well in each cluster. So it adds just a little bit more greenery element to the page as well, a little bit more interest. Now these little gingerbread stickers that are the circles, I do end up cutting out all of the white and just having the little star gingerbread cookies that will show up in each of the clusters, but you'll see that I do that, I believe, off camera. And so I'm just going to finish building up each of these clusters, and off camera I am going to glue all this down. I will not make you watch me glue that, but like I said before, I do plan to call this layout Christmas tea. So I did go ahead and get the letters to complete the word tea. And I have just a few stickers on this. I want to say this is from the Lumberjack Christmas collection from Echo Park. And on those sticker sheets, there was these black trees that kind of had that same kind of wispy watercolory look to them, like the background paper. And so I wanted to add just a little bit more of a pop of black to go with the stamping. So I added one of those into each cluster as well, and it kind of just pulls a little bit more of that black out. So like I said, I glue this all down off camera, and here are the still photos. So with that, guys, this will be the layout for today, and I will catch you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.